9 rounds from a .22 semi-automatic pistol, point-blank range, center mass hits. The creature staggered but kept walking. What the shooter discovered the next morning changed everything. 3-fingered handprints pressed into the mud, each claw curved like an eagle's talon. No known primate has 3 fingers. Yet here was physical evidence. Multiple handprints. Consistent anatomy. This wasn't Bigfoot. This was something anatomically impossible. And it all started in one place. Hamilton Hollow, deep in the Mark Twain National Forest. This isn't random wilderness. This is a hotspot. Over the past 2 decades, more Momo sightings have been documented here than anywhere else in Missouri. But here's what's disturbing. The creature isn't just surviving here, it's learning. And by the end of this video, you'll understand what it's learned about hunting humans. Which means we're not just looking at one encounter, we're looking at a pattern. Hamilton Hollow sits 20 miles south of the Merrimack State Park. The terrain here is unforgiving. Steep ridges cut by ancient creeks, dense hardwood forests that haven't been logged in over a century. It's the perfect hunting ground for something that doesn't want to be found. The encounter began at 2:17 a.m. on a cold October night in 2008. James Crawford was alone at his cabin in Hamilton Hollow. The kind of isolation that feels peaceful until it doesn't. He'd just finished stoking his wood-burning stove when he heard it. Movement outside. Heavy footsteps circling the perimeter of his property. Crawford had lived in these woods for 32 years. He knew the sounds. Deer don't walk like that. Bears don't circle. This was deliberate, methodical. His heart rate spiked. He grabbed his flashlight and his .22 semi-automatic pistol before stepping onto his front porch. What he saw next would change everything about how we understand cryptid behavior. But first, you need to know something. What he saw 20 feet away made him question everything he thought he knew about the Missouri wilderness. The creature stood motionless in his yard, 7 feet tall with shoulders that seemed to span 4 feet across. Its head sat directly on those massive shoulders with no visible neck. Dark brown hair covered its entire body, moving visibly with each breath it took. Crawford had lived in these woods for 32 years. He knew the sounds. Deer don't walk like that. Bears don't circle. This was deliberate, methodical. His survival instincts kicked in immediately. He emptied his pistol. 8 rounds fired in rapid succession. The sound echoed across the hollow, but the creature didn't drop. It staggered slightly, then turned and walked calmly into the tree line. Crawford fired one more shot from his .45-70 rifle, hitting it high on the right shoulder. The creature let out a deep vocalization that wasn't quite a growl and wasn't quite a moan. Then it turned and in just a few steps disappeared into the darkness beyond the yard. The question that haunted Crawford for weeks wasn't whether the creature was real. He knew it was real. The question was, did it survive? And if it did, why did it let him live? The answer came the next morning. After the officers left around 4 o'clock in the morning, Crawford sat inside with every light on and both guns close by. He didn't really sleep for the rest of that night. The woods outside felt different. Not in a good way, either. Every creak and thump seemed louder than it should have been. For weeks afterward, Crawford couldn't explain what happened without his hands shaking. He'd survived 9 gunshots to the chest from a creature that shouldn't exist. The rational part of his mind demanded an explanation. The survival part of his brain knew the truth. Something had hunted him that night, and it had let him live. When the sheriff's deputies arrived, they didn't find a body. They didn't find blood. But they found something that would become the most important piece of evidence in cryptid research: handprints. 3-fingered handprints pressed deep into the mud along the creek bank. 3-fingered handprints pressed deep into the mud, 8 inches long, each digit ending in curved claws like an eagle's talon. The prints were fresh, made within hours of the shooting. No known primate has 3 fingers, which meant Crawford wasn't dealing with anything in the natural world. The Hamilton Hollow incident might have remained an isolated encounter if not for what happened 6 weeks later at Darden Creek. But this time, researchers were ready. This time, they had equipment. And this time, they captured something that would challenge everything we thought we knew about how intelligent this creature really is. What Mark Stevens discovered that first night would prove the creature wasn't just intelligent, it was studying him. St. Peters, Missouri, sits 30 miles northeast of Hamilton Hollow. The railroad bridge that crosses Darden Creek became the epicenter of the most documented Momo activity on record. Between November 2008 and March 2009, 5 separate witnesses captured evidence of the creature's presence. Researcher Mark Stevens positioned thermal imaging equipment around the bridge in late November 2008. He'd spent years chasing Bigfoot sightings. Most turned out to be bears or hoaxes. But Darden Creek felt different. On the first night of monitoring, the FLIR camera detected massive heat signatures moving beneath the bridge at 2:43 a.m. Stevens watched the thermal feed in real time from his truck, parked a quarter-mile away. His pulse quickened. The heat signature was massive, 8 to 9 feet tall, moving with purpose. But what happened next made Stevens' skin crawl. The creature wasn't just hiding under the bridge. It was manipulating the steel infrastructure, gripping the I-beams, testing them, as if it was learning how to use them. Stevens' hands trembled as he documented the footage. He'd been searching for proof of Bigfoot for 2 decades. But this wasn't what he expected to find. This was something intelligent, something aware it was being watched. The thermal footage revealed something unprecedented. The creature wasn't just hiding under the bridge. It was manipulating the steel infrastructure. Frame-by-frame analysis shows the heat signature gripping massive steel I-beams. The grip patterns match the 3-fingered handprint configuration from Hamilton Hollow. Only 3 distinct contact points appear on each hand, wrapping around steel beams 8 inches in diameter. More disturbing is what the positioning revealed. The creature remains motionless for hours beneath the bridge. It's not resting. It's waiting. The bridge provides overhead cover while offering clear sightlines in all directions. This suggests ambush predator behavior rather than passive foraging patterns. Audio analysis revealed structured vocalizations that change based on human activity. When hikers approach during daylight, the creature's calls become shorter and more urgent. During nighttime encounters, the vocalizations extend into complex sequences lasting up to 3 minutes. The creature is actively monitoring human behavior and adjusting its responses accordingly. The Darden Creek evidence revealed something that fundamentally changed how we understand cryptid behavior. Momo wasn't just surviving in the Missouri wilderness. It was systematically studying human activity and developing sophisticated countermeasures. The breakthrough came when researcher Mark Stevens noticed inconsistencies in the thermal footage. On nights when the research team visited the bridge, Momo's heat signature appeared in different locations than when the area was unmonitored. The creature had learned to distinguish between routine human activity and active investigation. Stevens decided to test this hypothesis. He established a pattern of visiting the bridge every Tuesday and Friday evening for 3 weeks. The thermal cameras recorded Momo's response to this predictable schedule. The results were unsettling. By the 3rd week, Momo was positioning itself in elevated observation points that provided clear sightlines to the parking area where Stevens left his vehicle. The creature was conducting surveillance on the surveillance team. The 3-fingered handprints from Darden Creek forced researchers to confront an uncomfortable reality. No documented North American wildlife possesses this anatomical configuration. But the scientific method demands we eliminate every possible conventional explanation before accepting extraordinary conclusions. Dr. Sarah Mitchell's investigation began with Missouri's largest predators. Black bears represent the most likely candidate for misidentification in cryptid encounters. Adult male black bears in Missouri can reach 400 pounds and stand 7 feet tall on their hind legs. Their tracks in mud often show only 3 or 4 visible toe pads due to the positioning of their dew claws. But bear paw anatomy immediately ruled out this explanation. Bear paws are wider than they are long, measuring approximately 6 inches across and 4 inches from heel to toe. The Darden Creek handprints measure 8 inches long and only 4 inches wide. The proportions are completely reversed. Additionally, bear claws extend directly from the toe pads in a straight line. The Momo prints show curved claws that arc inward like raptor talons. Mountain lions presented the next logical possibility. Missouri's cougar population has been steadily recovering since the 1990s. Adult males can weigh up to 160 pounds and leave distinctive 4-toed prints with retractable claw marks. However, mountain lions are quadrupedal. They cannot maintain bipedal locomotion for extended periods, and their front paws measure only 3 inches in length. The size differential eliminates mountain lions entirely. Dr. Mitchell expanded the investigation to include non-native species that might have escaped captivity. Private exotic animal ownership was legal in Missouri until 2010, creating the possibility of escaped primates or other unusual species. Great apes represented the most promising avenue of investigation. Gorilla handprints can reach 7 inches in length and show impressive grip strength. However, gorillas possess 5 digits per hand, not 3. The finger proportions are also distinctly different from the Momo prints. Chimpanzee and orangutan hands are smaller than the Darden Creek evidence, measuring 4 to 5 inches maximum. Bonobos are even smaller. No known primate species exhibits the 3-fingered configuration documented in Missouri. The investigation extended to prehistoric possibilities. Could Momo represent a surviving population of an extinct species? Gigantopithecus blacki, the largest known primate, lived in Asia until approximately 300,000 years ago. Fossil evidence suggests these creatures reached 9 feet in height and weighed up to 1,200 pounds. However, Gigantopithecus possessed the standard 5-fingered hand configuration common to all great apes. The dental evidence indicates they were herbivorous, lacking the predatory adaptation suggested by Momo's claw structure. The electromagnetic interference effects documented around Momo's territory provided another avenue for conventional explanation. Could the creature be attracted to existing electromagnetic anomalies rather than generating them? The Missouri Geological Survey conducted extensive testing around Darden Creek to identify natural electromagnetic sources. The survey found no geological formations capable of generating the structured interference patterns recorded during Momo encounters. The modulated electromagnetic signatures require active generation, not passive geological effects. Hoax scenarios received thorough investigation. Could an elaborate human deception explain the evidence? The logistics prove prohibitive. Creating convincing three-fingered handprints would require custom prosthetics capable of generating 800 pounds per square inch of grip pressure. The electromagnetic interference would demand sophisticated electronic equipment operated from concealed locations. More importantly, the thermal imaging footage shows continuous body heat at 101.3 degrees Fahrenheit for hours at a time. Human body temperature averages 98.6 degrees. Maintaining elevated temperature readings while wearing prosthetics in outdoor conditions approaches impossibility. The process of elimination leads to an inescapable conclusion. Momo represents something outside our current understanding of North American wildlife. The evidence doesn't match any known species, living or extinct. We're dealing with something genuinely unknown. The Momo evidence attracted attention from researchers across multiple scientific disciplines. Unlike typical cryptid encounters that rely on eyewitness testimony, the Missouri case provided measurable physical evidence that demanded rigorous analysis. Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum from Idaho State University examined the plaster casts. His biomechanical analysis revealed something unprecedented. The three-fingered configuration actually provides superior grip strength compared to five-fingered hands. With fewer digits to coordinate, the creature can focus maximum muscle power through each contact point. The mathematical advantage explains the documented grip strength of 800 pounds per square inch. Dr. Patricia Williamson's behavioral analysis focused on the tactical intelligence demonstrated at Darden Creek. The creature's ability to map human patrol patterns indicated cognitive capabilities equivalent to special operations training. The creature adapted its behavior within weeks of initial human contact. The expert consensus points to something unprecedented in cryptid research. Momo exhibits intelligence and biological capabilities that challenge our understanding of natural evolution. Despite the compelling physical evidence from Missouri, the scientific method demands rigorous examination of alternative explanations. The extraordinary claims surrounding Momo require extraordinary scrutiny before accepting conclusions that challenge our understanding of natural history. The hoax hypothesis received the most thorough investigation from the Missouri Department of Conservation. Creating convincing three-fingered handprints would require sophisticated prosthetic technology and extensive knowledge of primate anatomy. The grip strength measurements of 800 pounds per square inch present an insurmountable challenge for human fabrication. Dr. Michael Harrison, a special effects expert who worked on major Hollywood productions, analyzed the plaster casts from Darden Creek. His assessment was definitive. Current prosthetic technology cannot generate the documented grip pressure while maintaining the detailed dermal ridge patterns captured in the impressions. The electromagnetic interference effects pose additional problems for hoax theorists. Generating structured electromagnetic fields requires expensive equipment and technical expertise. The modulated patterns would demand continuous operation from concealed locations throughout the creature's territory. More problematic for the hoax theory is the thermal imaging evidence. The FLIR cameras recorded consistent body heat at 101.3 degrees Fahrenheit for extended periods. Human body temperature averages 98.6 degrees, and maintaining elevated readings while wearing prosthetics in outdoor conditions approaches impossibility. The coordinated nature of Momo encounters across multiple locations eliminates simple pranks. Sightings span decades and cover hundreds of square miles across Missouri. The consistency of physical evidence across different sites suggests either an elaborate conspiracy involving dozens of participants or genuine encounters with an unknown species. Environmental factors provided another avenue for conventional explanation. Could unusual atmospheric conditions or geological formations create false impressions that witnesses interpreted as creature encounters? The Missouri Geological Survey conducted extensive testing around known MOMO territories. Electromagnetic anomalies from natural sources were thoroughly investigated. Iron ore deposits can create localized magnetic field disturbances, but the survey found no geological formations capable of generating the structured interference patterns documented during encounters. Atmospheric inversion layers can create visual distortions that make familiar objects appear larger or more threatening. However, these optical illusions cannot account for physical evidence, like handprints and claw marks on steel beams. The misidentification hypothesis required examining whether known animals could produce similar evidence under unusual circumstances. Injured or diseased animals sometimes exhibit abnormal behavior patterns that might confuse witnesses. A three-legged bear missing 2 digits could theoretically leave prints resembling the Momo configuration. However, veterinary records from Missouri wildlife rehabilitation centers show no documented cases of bears with this specific injury pattern. Additionally, the size and proportions of the handprints exceed any possible bear paw configuration. Escaped exotic animals presented another possibility. Private ownership of dangerous animals was legal in Missouri until 2010, creating opportunities for undocumented releases or escapes. However, no known primate species exhibits 3-fingered hands, eliminating this explanation. The psychological factors in witness testimony received careful analysis. Mass hysteria and suggestion can create false memories or cause witnesses to interpret mundane events as extraordinary encounters. Dr. Patricia Williamson examined the psychological profiles of Momo witnesses for common patterns. Her analysis revealed significant diversity in witness backgrounds, education levels, and prior beliefs about cryptids. Many witnesses were skeptical about Bigfoot phenomena before their encounters. The consistency of reported details across independent witnesses suggests genuine experiences rather than shared delusions. Sleep deprivation and stress can create hallucinations that seem completely real to the experiencer. However, the physical evidence from Darden Creek cannot be explained through psychological factors alone. Hallucinations don't leave handprints in mud or bend steel beams. The equipment malfunction theory suggested that electromagnetic interference from unknown sources might create false readings on thermal cameras and audio equipment. However, multiple independent recording devices captured consistent evidence across different time periods and locations. The systematic debunking process eliminated every conventional explanation for the Missouri evidence. The physical traces, electromagnetic effects, and behavioral patterns cannot be reconciled with known wildlife, human deception, or natural phenomena. This elimination process doesn't prove Momo's existence, but it establishes that something extraordinary is occurring in the Missouri wilderness. The evidence demands serious scientific investigation rather than dismissive skepticism. The implications extend beyond cryptozoology into fundamental questions about what remains unknown in our natural world. But here's what the skeptics missed. While they were focused on disproving the creature's existence, they overlooked something far more disturbing. The electromagnetic interference at Darden Creek wasn't random. Analysis revealed something that changed everything about the Hamilton Hollow shooting. The structured interference began exactly 60 seconds before Crawford fired his first shot. The electromagnetic pulses continued throughout the encounter, then ceased when Crawford retreated. Momo had been jamming electronic communications during the attack. The creature targeted specific frequency ranges used by cell phones and emergency services. Crawford's attempts to call for help failed completely. His cell phone showed full signal strength but couldn't establish connections. The electromagnetic field had created a communication blackout zone with surgical precision. The creature had isolated its target and controlled the information flow. But the interference patterns revealed something even more disturbing. The frequencies matched human brainwave activity associated with altered consciousness. Crawford's casual description of the encounter, reporting the creature walked calmly after being shot 9 times, doesn't match the expected adrenaline response. Momo's electromagnetic capabilities extend beyond equipment disruption into biological influence. The creature can affect human consciousness, creating a calming effect that reduces the threat response in potential victims. This biological warfare capability represents an evolutionary adaptation unlike anything documented in terrestrial species. The creature possesses the ability to isolate prey, control their emotional state, and manipulate their memory of the encounter. The 3-fingered handprints discovered the morning after the shooting provide the final piece of the puzzle. The prints weren't randomly scattered around Crawford's property. They formed a precise perimeter exactly 127 feet from his cabin. The creature had established a tactical boundary and maintained that distance throughout the encounter. The mathematical precision of the perimeter suggests advanced spatial reasoning. Momo calculated the optimal distance to maximize electromagnetic effectiveness while minimizing exposure to gunfire. The 127-foot radius represents the perfect balance between biological warfare capabilities and physical safety. Analysis of the claw marks on nearby trees revealed additional evidence of tactical planning. The scratches weren't random territorial markings. They formed sightlines that provided clear observation angles to Crawford's cabin while maintaining concealment in the forest canopy. Momo had conducted pre-attack reconnaissance of the target location. The creature's behavior during the shooting demonstrates combat experience that rivals military training. Rather than fleeing or attacking directly, Momo absorbed the gunfire while maintaining psychological control over its target. The electromagnetic manipulation prevented Crawford from calling for backup while reducing his aggressive response. This represents predatory behavior evolved specifically for hunting intelligent prey. Momo isn't simply surviving in the Missouri wilderness. It's actively hunting humans using sophisticated biological and psychological warfare techniques. The implications are terrifying. We're dealing with a species that has evolved countermeasures for human technology and psychology. The creature understands our communication systems, our weapons capabilities, and our neurological vulnerabilities. The Hamilton Hollow shooting wasn't a chance encounter. It was a calculated attack by something that views humans as prey. Think about the last time you were alone in the woods, that moment when you realize how vulnerable you are. Now imagine something in those woods is studying you, learning your patterns, understanding your technology, waiting. The evidence from Missouri reveals an apex predator specifically adapted for hunting humans. Subscribe for our investigation into coordinated pack hunting behavior targeting isolated campers.